Hi class, today I'm going to show you how to create a game on Scratch. So, what is Scratch? Scratch is a program which was created by MIT. It's a block-based visual programming language and website targeted primarily at children aged between 8 and 16 as an educational tool for programming. Users can both download it to use the program without having any internet connection or use the online version of the program. And this aspect makes Scratch a Web 2.0 tool as well. So, what is block-based programming? Block-based programming utilizes a drag and drop learning environment where programmers use coding instruction blocks to construct animated stories and games. And don't worry, if what I said did not ring a bell in your mind, I will show you what they are in the next slide. Code blocks. Here, all the little different colored shapes are individual code blocks by themselves. All the blocks you see in this picture are created by the default program, but we can create our own blocks when we want. Let me tell you more about the various block styles and what they do. Here are the event blocks. They are very essential for every project. They are used to sense events, which trigger scripts to run. Control blocks. They are used to control scripts, such as if-else conditions. And motion blocks. They are used to control a sprite's movement. They are available only for sprites. And sprites are the objects and the characters on Scratch. We call it sprites. Operator blocks. They are used to script math equations and string handling. Variable blocks. Variables are used to store information to use in programs. Scratch can only store numeric values in a variable. Alright, let's just create our game, shall we? This screen is what you will see when you first open it. To start working, we need two sprites. Sprites are the objects and characters on Scratch. We will be doing our programming in these sprites, and all the code that we write will only be applicable for the sprite that we work on. For our game, I will choose Apple and the ball sprites. The main purpose of this game is to catch the apples into our bowl. We can find several sprites by clicking on this button here. Now, I found and chose my two sprites. I can change their positions by dragging and dropping. And by clicking in the size box, I can change the size to my liking. Now, we can start to write the code for ball. But first, we need to be sure that we click to the ball sprite. Before we start, you need to know that this little green flag executes the code we place here if we use the green flag event block. And this red button near it stops running the code. Normally, we need to think all the steps we can before starting to code. I created some flowcharts, so we are going to create our code based on these flowcharts. Here is the flowchart for bold. It starts with the start block and it is in a while loop, as you can see. It turns right just back to the loop after executing all the codes forever, unless we click on the red button. There are if blocks to check where we want to move our ball. Let's create our own code on Scratch. Now, we go to the code blocks section to find the event blocks. We need to choose when flag clicked blocks to start. Just drag and drop it to the code space we have here. We want this ball to move in x-axis So we need to add motion block from here. I want my ball to move 10 pixels in x-axis, so I pick this code block and put it here, and another motion block to move to the opposite side. Now we need if and else conditions, so we go to the control blocks and pick two if then blocks for our two conditions, which are movements to left and right. We need to go to sensing section of code blocks and choose two key pressed blocks. Now let's just put them all together according to the flowchart. As you can see, our code is not working since we did not add while loop to it. We can find it from control section. Our code will work like a charm once we add forever block in it. Okay, we are done with the ball, but it's not a fun game to play since there's no purpose in it. We need to make Apple move as well, but this time in y-axis and randomly. I created three flowcharts for the Apple and preset all the essential codes needed to move in y-axis but in a random x location in these flowcharts. We will put all the code blocks together and see if it works. This block of code works for our Apple to fall down -8 pixels at a time and checks if its position is under or above -170 in y-axis. If Apple is below -170, then its position will be changed to the position it started. Let's move to the other one. This block is for managing the scoreboard and catching the apple with our ball. I created this scoreboard from variables section and put it in the blank code area. It adds 1 point to the scoreboard when apple touches the ball. Then the apple goes to 180 in y-axis and a random position between 0 and 180 in x-axis. And the last group of code block is used for sound. It plays the collect sound when apple hits to the ball. Everything looks ready now. Are you ready to play? As you can see, we created a catching game with Scratch. Now that you know how to use Scratch, I want you to add your own touch to the game. Maybe new game mechanics and some good looking graphics created by you. It's all up to you and your creativity with Scratch.